Hello everyone, welcome to this video. I am going to do a angel card reading for us today, and this is from the deck Angel Answers. And these cards are very simple actually. So I'm just going to ask for what information this collective needs to know about on this day, and go from there. It is currently 2:39 on a I don't know what day it is. It is Tuesday, on the 10th of January. Well, I'm just gonna get to shuffling here, and what is it that this collective on this specific day, this specific time, EST, Eastern Standard Time, needs to know about? Alright, so there is a couple of timing cards here, one timing card potentially, so we'll get to that, and just see what comes through. I was going to pull tarot along with this these angel cards, but if I need to, then I'll dial in through my visual space. Okay, get more information. So I think this is pertaining to allowing your mind to rest and going through more often, going through your heart to find information. The best way that I like to do this is giving myself a little bit of time to just ground down. So usually I'll lay down if I can. If I have the ability to, I'll lay down. But if not, just sitting in a chair will do. And I notice that I'm able to fully focus on some of the things that go on in my head more. And eventually I get to a space where I've cleared up a lot of the debris, let's say, a lot of the thoughts that are, just really quite incessant and, can be quite draining to the point where you're on the go a lot because your mind is just constantly coming up with new thoughts for you to think about and spend your energy on. And, I'm not saying the thoughts stop or slow down. And that's not even necessarily the goal of meditation. But there is a peace that you can reach. And I would say that this peace that you can reach, it's like becoming the observer of your life. And you don't take your life so seriously. You navigate all the ins and outs, let's say, with a bit more quip, where you understand that not everything is personal. So what I mean is you can start to reflect on certain things that happen in your day, and just, I know it's easier said than done, like when you don't take something personally, especially if you're an empathic person or a sensitive person. We take stuff personally, it's really annoying. But you can start to deflect some of that information coming your way, and you can start to stay in your bubble. That doesn't mean that you're not connected to other people or life. It just means that you're a little bit more connected to your angelic self, as well as your unconscious self, like the part of you that, I'm not saying, I'm not going to get into the work you have to do as a person, but I'm just saying that there's energy that we're spending that doesn't need to be spent. So the way that we can get more information actually what this is meaning is getting the right information. So you can get information, from anywhere and anything. But I would say that the best information you can get, some of the best information you can get, is when you close your eyes and you slow down and you listen to what's coming from your heart. I know it's still coming from your mind, but that's what I'm trying to say. Like, if you connect in with what your heart wants, like, you don't just allow all the thoughts to, kind of take over, and you actually direct the flow a little bit. Your heart will kind of know the way to experience whatever it wants to experience in that moment, a meditation, a relaxation, peace. And then when you're in the world, you can actually be a lot more, you can actually be a lot more available by being less available. So what I mean is, if you're not taking, and this is like, let's use taking things personally as an archetype. It sounds silly, but what I mean is, if you're always the center of attention, or you think you are, it's quite draining. And I'm not sure why it happens to some of us that are empathic and sensitive. And it happens to other people as well. But some people have a harder time either A, not wanting that attention, or B, just getting that attention whether they want it or not. Usually has something to do with being a bit different and being maybe the quiet one or the introverted one. But instead of being able to like take the attention off of you, when you speak, you end up gaining more of the attention. And when you don't speak, you can feel people prying into your energy. So this is where we don't take things, nothing is personal. Like, if you want to live your life where you're not, like, because I think we convince ourselves very often, I know I do, I convince myself that I want to be in close contact in really strong relationships with, actually I do want to be in strong relationships with people, but I think that I really want to get to know everyone, not everyone, but like, I often really want to connect with people, especially people that are in my world, like more often. And that's not to say that I don't want to connect with them, I do. But I take it to a level that's unnecessary, where I don't always want to connect with someone's energy on a certain thing, but I end up connecting with all things in that person's energy. So that's what I meant when I said it's kind of like a boundary where you're not taking anything personally, you're in your own little bubble, and you're not really involved as much as you think you are. And as soon as you start to think that way, you become that way. Whereas when you walk into a room, whether you've been there a million times before, or you're just new there, you can think that, I don't know, people are looking at you, or people want to know you, and that's what happens. People want to know you, people want to pry with you and your energy, and it can actually be a bit draining. But as we know, the grass always looks greener on the other side. So you might get someone that is never looked at, is never really center of attention, or thinks that. And, they just long for the day that they get to be seen for who they really are, all of that kind of stuff. Whereas you get somebody that's in the limelight, that is seen for who they are, that is even maybe treated a certain way because of who they are, and they get sick of it. They're like, you know what, I just want to be treated for my actions, not for who I am. So the grass is always greener on the other side, right? So don't think that you have a problem just because of the way where you're at. Get more information, like take a rest when you can, close your eyes. And a lot of this stuff can unfold when you clear up that debris. in the mind. And I'm actually feeling like just Oh, okay. So that's also clearing up your space, what I just talked about. When you get more information from inside your heart and you follow this kind of taking nothing personally, where you're not really the center of attention, and you're definitely not. It's not like you're not being seen, because you wouldn't want that either. But you're free to be who you are, and you don't have to follow social norms as much. You don't have to be normal, quote unquote, hashtag normal, because no one is. But we pretend to be a little bit just to fit in, or we go to extremes. So let's say there's a scale. On one side, there's just not being seen at all, and it's really painful for a lot of your life because you're not seen, you're not heard. And then you go to the other extreme, where you're just really trying to be seen, and you're doing everything you can to gain attention. And then whichever scale you're on, you're going to do something to try and get to the other side. But what we want to do is come to the middle. And like I say, the middle is this bubble. This is informational. Get more information. It's like from your heart. Like, what does your heart want in a moment? And if it's not to really connect with somebody, you can just be in the room with someone. You can just be at an event. You can just be at work. You can just be doing something, and not. You can blend in. That's what I'm trying to say. You can blend in where it actually becomes comfortable to be in that situation, because you're not expending extra energy, and you're not having to be anybody else. Like, you know, and when I say anybody else, I guarantee you that the social norms that we hold ourselves up to be normal makes you become like a different part of your personality that can be extra energy. When you get to just be who you are, it's like it's like that, and I can't explain it. It's really smooth and flowy and basic bitch over here who fucking loves it. All right. So, next card is Peaceful Resolution. I love that. Thank you, angels. There's so much for me to say about this card. I'll start with what came up first, and it's that you'll find. So when you get more information from your heart, that first card, and you stop taking everything personally, and you just blend in, the right kind of blending, you know, what happens is you stop getting into arguments with people. You stop finding everything so painful. It's just so much better. It's like you just lift all of that like stuff. You lift all of that stuff that you've been carrying off of you. You know, we take on our ancestral karma, we take like from our parents and from that line. But we can actually consciously we can find peaceful resolution in anything that we do when we are being this version of us that knows its place. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to know where you're going. You don't even have to know where you've been, right? Memory can fog up. You can not know what the heck you're here to do, and you can still know your fucking place here, alright? Because we get so caught up in thinking that we gotta know everything. And this get more information card is so powerful, because actually what it's saying, like when you looked at the, like it's got the Merkaba coming from the heart space, and it's the heart that knows. And when the mind tries to know everything, it loses itself. Like it just goes nuts. That's why we don't know everything. And when we try, we might create something kind of cool, but I guarantee it becomes way too complicated. Like living a simple life is so underrated. But anyway, the peaceful resolution in your relationships, when you want to connect but you're trying too hard, it actually can cause friction. It's like wanting something too much is also just as bad sometimes, and bad is not the word here, but it can also be as it creates a lesson basically for you, and it's just better to blend through things where you're not the center of attention, and you're not the one that everybody likes, and you're not the one, all these things that if you go so long without an ego, well, I mean, you have to have an ego, everyone has one, but some of us build it up more than others. And when you don't have one for a long time, you oscillate into an extreme again, where you do have an ego. So anyway, the point is that this peaceful resolution, when you look back on your life, because you will see it one day, you'll notice where you chose to balance out, and love can help with that. But really it's like abundant energy is what helps with that. So I'll paint this picture for you. You create peaceful resolution in your relationships and in yourself and in your relationships when you choose to see from an observer's perspective yourself, and you're not wrapped up in your story. But more than that, you're aware of all the parameters. It's like when you die, you get to see your life, and you get to see all the times where you didn't see clearly, and you were clouded by like hate, judgment, fear. And you get to be shown a slight change in your perspective, where with that slight change of perspective, that slight angelic presence that you can conjure up at any time, you just imagine it there with you, watching you, with you, as you show it how it can experience love in that moment instead of fear. And you show it how it can just experience like abundant energy through this bubble that you are. And this abundant energy doesn't need anything from anything, but it automatically gets what it needs. And it's like, how could I explain it? It's like you're not looking for anything from anything, but it comes to you because your heart leads. Let me just have a look at these other two cards here and see if ask for help from others. Okay, yeah. So this asking for help, that's like I'm having to do that now. Like I don't have the words to describe this. As like I can see it, I can feel it, but to describe it to you is a challenge for someone that isn't the most articulated with words. When it actually, English language is tricky with that. Any language is, even light language, which is what I go into. So I might do that actually, because that can help. But yeah, in the near future, I'll be able to explain it a bit better, because I'm still going through this lesson myself. But basically, it's to do with like finding your own resolution from within, no matter where you are. You don't have to be meditating. You can be out in the world, and you can still be, you can be with someone, and you can still be in this bubble of truth, I want to say, where you're not needing anything, and you're not like having to be center of attention. You're blending in, okay? You're blending in. I see the color gray. You're not black and you're not white. You're gray, okay? You're not on either extreme. You're balanced. Where this is where a peaceful resolution comes from, because before I had to purge something. Actually, I was like purging this weight that I've been carrying personally, where I take everything personally. It's just ridiculous. And that's come from, some good things in my personality, but also some things I do not need to carry from my lineage, from my conditioning, etc. And what I was purging in that moment was this notion that everything's about me. And I know on an intellectual level that it is not. I can tell myself that so many times a day, but there's a thing in there that sometimes grips on, that is beyond like just a mental paradigm. It's some kind of like guilt, I think, and shame, that you let go of when you realize that you get to claim your power back, and you don't have to share it with anything or anyone. You just do automatically when you're in the zone. When you're in the zone of peace, you automatically share what needs to be shared. You don't try too hard. Your energy's good, like fuck. How else can I explain? Yeah, I'll go back to what I was saying. Like this angelic presence. I'll give an example. The other day, I was at the top of the stairs, and I had this like angsty feeling where I just felt like I wanted to get things done. But then I could have shared love in that moment with someone. And I don't mean love to be all like lovey-dovey and just like super like, oh my God, I love you, because I'm not like that. But there's a kind of balanced love that you can experience where you're just peaceful, you're just tranquil, you're just serene, you're just in some kind of joy. Maybe joy is a bit too high, but you're just you're serene, tranquil, and it like opens you up to time. You know how we are like busy bees, just like buzzing everywhere, and we think, I'm in this rat race and I gotta win it, and I gotta go fast, and I gotta get this done. That, I think, is our biggest crap. The biggest thing that we have to overcome when it comes to a life well lived with love. Because there's this abundant energy that we can tap into that isn't worried about time. I'm not saying that time isn't a thing. It definitely is, But we have more time than we think. But when we think we don't have time, we lose out on moments to be peaceful and tranquil and loving and kind and things like that. So you can tap into it by in that moment, what happened to me when I was at the top of the stairs, and I can't remember if it came before or after, but I just had a little interaction, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm just being busybody. I'm just being Mrs. Busybody. I don't really have time in my head. I don't really have time for you or it or whatever. When I had this like angelic perspective over myself in that moment, where I was like looking back at that specific moment in my life, even though it's the smallest little thing ever. Like, it's not like I was doing anything bad or wrong, or I just had this moment of realizing, like, what if, like I'm viewing myself above, and I'm like hearing that I could share love in this moment. And I'm like, what does that mean? It's like, well, slow down and just be present. I'm like, yeah, okay, but like, whatever. And then I just get on with things. And I'm like, oh shit, I didn't follow through with that. And what that was is like a moment where like I'm being coached through like being able to be myself, and myself is like beyond the need to do or be anything, you know. And I think our life is made up of all these little moments where we do share love, we do share, you know, like kind of like tranquility with people, we share inspiration with people, we share clarity, and we blend in really well here. Because when you blend in, it's like you become part of the painting. When you stand out, you can be a great part of the painting too, or you can ruin the painting. So which one are you, right? Which one are you being? And you know, where the painting's changing all day, every day. So you can be ruining it, and then the next minute you can be making it beautiful, and then the next minute you can just be part of making it beautiful, and then the next minute you can be the main reason it's beautiful, you know, just all that kind of stuff. So yeah, tapping into the angelic realms with some of this stuff can be you know, just really simple. It doesn't have to be like lofty or anything, you know. So yeah, all right, well, I'm gonna leave it there. Thanks for listening, and so I think that's everything.